Okay, but today we're going to discuss the topic of hadlakas neros, which we will see is not just a topic for women. You know, men have to know this topic as much as women do, as we will see. There's one siman in Shulchan Aruch on the halachas of hadlakas neros Shabbos. There is a lot to say in terms of the lumdis behind it. Maybe another time we will be able to get into the background and the lumdis. But just in one line, hadlakas neros is unique in that it fulfills Kavod Shabbos and Oneg Shabbos. It is something that we do before Shabbos, but we enjoy it on Shabbos. So it is unique in that area. That's not our topic right now, but just to keep that in mind. But we're going to go into Siman Reis Samach Gimel, which is the Siman in Shulchan Aruch about hadlakas neros Shabbos. Shulchan Aruch starts off in source number 1. You have it. Yehi zohir la'asos ner yafeh. One should be careful to make a beautiful candle. Right? Is there any material that's better than any other material in terms of candles? So anything that's beautiful. So I want Shem and Zayis. Most people don't use Shem and Zayis. That's Hanukkah. That's not. But again, today there's paraffin. There's beautiful different types of materials. Whatever one uses. But there is, one should be very careful to have a beautiful candle. And the minhag is, when a woman starts lighting candles, and we'll talk about why a woman does it, the minhag is to light 2. Why? So if you don't read the next line of the Shulchan Aruch, so we think. One for the mommy and one for the daddy. Right? That's usually, right? Because the minhag is to add on 1 per child. But that's not what the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says, why do you start off with 2? 1 for Zachar and 1 for Shamar. The 2 elements of Shabbos, the positive and the negative. That's Zachar and Shamar. If you're familiar, that's based on a Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Gimel. How do I remember Shabbos Lamed Gimel? I don't remember Gemaras by heart, but Shabbos Lamed Gimel is about Rishon Vayachai, Lag. Right? So Shabbos Lamed Gimel. At the end, when he finally comes out of the cave, which hopefully maybe we'll learn that Gemara together one day, he comes out of the cave and he looks around and he sees an old man on Erev Shabbos running with 2 hadassim in his hand. He says, what are you doing? He says, L'kavod Shabbos. He says, what do you need 2 for? He says, 1 for Zachar, 1 for Shamar. So that Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Gimel Beis is the source for the minhag of lighting 2 candles, minimum, 1 for Zachar and 1 for Shamar. Yes?
When he says Beis Psilos, is that like
2 wicks.
in the same candle?
No. Again, in those days, they didn't have separate. They had like little like candle things that you put the oil in, and you have 2 things coming out. So again, it should be clearly two candles. 2 sources. And you could add on v'cheinagu, and that is the minhag, right? The most common minhag is to add on 1 candle per child, right? That is the minhag. Interestingly, the bracha though does not change. The bracha is lahadlik ner shel Shabbos. Doesn't matter how many we light, right? Just like Hanukkah, because the ikar is 1 candle. The ikar is 1 candle, but anything more than that, the bracha doesn't change. I think we mentioned recently there's only 1 bracha that changes nusach based on quantity, and that is tfilas kelim, right? Al tfilas keli or al tfilas kelim. Other than that, even if you do a mitzvah, you add on, same bracha. L'hadlik ner shel Chanukah, l'hadlik ner shel Shabbos. Yes? Where does the minhag come? We're being Mosif Or, which is part of the mitzvah. I'm not sure exactly when it started. But that is a accepted custom by Klal Yisrael to be Mosif for a candle. Rachmana litzlan, again, should only be talked about here. One never takes away candles. Rachmana litzlan, if somebody loses a child. There's always a certain number of candles. One doesn't take away a candle, right? One was Mosif Or, so then one has it. Would there ever be another reason to add on a candle? So there is a gzeira that's mentioned that you might have heard of. The Ramah quotes it right here in the first siman, first seif. If a woman ever forgot to light a candle, madlekas kol yameh, she has to add on a candle, right? If a woman, why? Because again, one of the reasons that we have hadlakas neros Shabbos is to be Mosif Or, to create Shalom Bayis, to create, and if a woman doesn't remember to light a candle, so then this week we fine her. For the rest of her life, she has to add on a candle every Shabbos. Women generally do not want to add on a candle. Generally, in almost every case it comes up, we could probably find a kula laheter, that she does not need to. Wow. I've had the shiloh twice. So one time, and number 1 reason why you can find a kula, because the Shulchan Aruch says, shachacha. How many women forget to light Shabbos candles? I mean, come on. When does it ever come up? Something crazy happens right before Shabbos. It's like, you forgot the chicken, and or the bath is overflowing, and somebody's screaming, somebody got hurt, and then it's like, it's too late. That's not called shachacha. That's not forget. That's ones. So in almost every case, that's it. Number two, the other reason is it doesn't come up on Shabbos so much. You know where it comes up? It comes up on Yantif. On the second night of Yantif. I tell you, I had the Shaila. The same year, 2 women. I remember, it must have been about 12 years ago, in the middle of my years in Woodmere. So there was this, they come, when is it? Simchas Torah morning. Simchas Torah, on the second night of Yantif in Chutz La'aretz. You come home at 11 o'clock at night. You have the food. The women were in shuls. They didn't light candles before they went to shul. They came early with the kids. And then you go and you're exhausted. You serve the food. You go to bed. You wake up in the morning. Oh, I didn't light candles last night. Right, so there are many reasons lahakal there. Number one, main reason is, who says there's ever a gzeira on Yantif? Maybe it was only on Shabbos. Right, after all, in the footnotes in the Shmir Shabbos, in source number 2, right, he writes that there was maybe it's somewhat of a milsa de lo shchicha. It's not common, because if you remember during the meal on Yantif, you can light it right then. The whole gzeira is, you forgot, you caused darkness. But you didn't cause darkness. You didn't cause darkness. It was, you could have lit. So in almost every case, women don't want to add on another candle, and generally you could find some type of a heter. Because A, it shows it's embarrassing. Right, it's embarrassing. And number two, it's like the candles are the children. That's what in their mind, emotionally. And therefore, but that is that. But that's in terms of the number of candles. And you have other sveikas there. You have it in source number 2 in the footnote relating to that halach.
That's only related. That's also for a man against.
Same man. Well, man generally doesn't light, as we're about to see. So yeah, but it will be same for both. I don't even think there was a knas for a man. If there was a situation where a man was supposed to light and it didn't light. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's an extension of an extension. But the Shulchan Aruch says in the next siman, next seif, source number 3, men or women are equal. Men and women are equal obligation in Hadlakas Neiros Shabbos. Equal obligation. The mitzvah is not upon the woman to the exclusion of the man. I have the same exact obligation in Hadlakas Neiros as my wife does. The tradition is that women light the candles. That's the tradition. They have to have a candle lit. Right? Even if they don't have what to eat. They have to beg and get candles. So why do women do it? Why do women do it? The Rishonim already discussed this. Why are women the ones to light the candles? So the Torah quotes 2 reasons. Number 1, the Torah says, V'hanashim, source 4, Musharas bo yoser, the Torah. Of course, we know the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch, we usually say the Daled Chalkei Shulchan Aruch, or the 4 Chalakim of the Shulchan Aruch. The Torah is the one that really should get the credit. We call it he's the one that came up with the 4 Chalakim. So we call it the Shulchan Aruch, but the Torah is the one that, what does the Torah mean? Torah means a column. He came up with the 4 columns, the Arba Torah. But anyways, he gives 2 reasons. Number 1, K'di Isa b'medrash. It always goes back to Chava. Everything goes back to Chava. Chava, or she was Isha then, when she gave to the tree. She wasn't Chava yet, she was Isha. Isha, the woman, brought darkness to the world by causing the chait and brought death to the world. Garma misa l'adam arishon, and therefore, forevermore, she has to bring light to the world. And that's why the halacha was accepted that women do it to be mesakein every week. That chait of bringing darkness, so she brings light. Number 1. Number 2, v'harambam zal. You know what? I'll mention it now, even though it's later on, because I don't know if we're gonna get up to it. There is a minhag quoted. Again, it's not really a common custom today, and we'll explain why. There's a minhag quoted that the Mishnah Berurah quotes the minhag, but again, it's not a minhag that's binding, and generally women just the opposite. What's the minhag? The first week after having a baby, the husband lights the candles. It's a minhag quoted in the Mishnah Berurah. I think I gave it to you all the way at the end. I think it's somewhere. I have to find it on the 38. In source 38. Ukshi yoledes b'Shabbos Rishona madlik habal mavarich. Right, the husband lights. So where does that come from? So the real reason where that comes from probably is because the first week after a woman has a baby, it's hard for her to get out of bed, and she's going to feel bad if she can't get out, and maybe her neighbor's going to feel better, and she's not. You know what? The husband can light the first week. That's probably where the minhag came from. But there is a lumdish thought. Why does the husband? The whole reason the woman lights the candles, not the husband, is because she brought darkness to the world, and now she's been misaking it. This woman brought so much light to the world this week already. She had a baby. So it's done. So you know what the husband can light this week. Lamaisa, women want to light that candle the first week. Another candle with a baby? So they want it. The women get dibs. It's her. If she can't get out of bed, she asks the husband to light, fine. But it's the women's mitzvah. That's the minhag, and that is that's just interesting in terms of lumdis. It's a beautiful explanation, but not that lamaisa. It has to be fulfilled. That's reason number one. The Torah quotes why women do it. Going back to Chava. Number two, the Rambam Shita. The Torah quotes the Rambam. The Rambam says in source 4, Nasantam Ladavar Mibnei Shemitzuyos Babayis Va'oskos B'tzarchei Abayis, which literally means on the bottom, they're in the house, they're involved in things in the house, which I understand on a deeper level, the woman is the one who sets the environment in the home. The woman is the Akeres Abayis. She's the one that is the, right, Shmamani Musar Avicha Torah Simecha. There's a certain element of creation of the environment, and the candles are part of that. You walk into a home on Shabbos, you know it's Shabbos when you see the candles. So the woman is involved in creating that environment, and that's why the mitzvah is given to her. Good. What happens if the man wants to light the candles one week? How can I do it this week? Tough luck on you. It's the woman's mitzvah. She could say no. Right, it's her mitzvah. There's even a discussion in there's a Sefer Likra Shabbos I have at home, which is all about halakas neros. If the man does it before the woman, but the concept of stealing a mitzvah, does he have to pay 10 gold coins, which the Shulchan Aruch talks about when you steal a mitzvah? It's her, what do you mean? It's my mitzvah too, just you do it. Lamaisa, we shouldn't. What should we do though? And this minhag is quoted, we should set up the candles. We should set up the candles. Right here, you heard it. Right, a couple of years from now, remember? Right? After you get married, you set up the candles. The husband sets up the candles. I once mentioned this in shul, and someone comes over to me and says, I take the late train home on Friday. I get home 6 minutes before Shabbos. I said, I'm a radical. Do it Thursday night. I know a woman who sets up, who tells her husband to set up the candles, Motzi Shabbos. That's a holy woman. Right, holy family. Right? But either way, the husband should set up the candles. And that's why there's even a minhag, again, you might have heard of this, that the husband buys the woman the candlesticks. So at least he has some chelek. There are different minhagim. Some of them I don't know where it came from. There was a minhag that I didn't even know about until the night I got engaged. I come to my in-laws' house, and all of a sudden they give me a watch. I'm like, you trying to tell me something? I don't know. Like, but I don't know. They asked a minhag, you know what? Okay, I don't know if that has any halachic basis. Maybe it's like just to make sure that you're on time with the daughter. But the neros, the candlesticks, that's already a custom. So the man has a chelek in the mitzvah. The woman's going to light the candles every week. But at least the man should have a chelik in the mitzvah. So if I buy my wife the candlesticks, so then that is a mitzvah that is quoted. It's even fascinating. There's a remez to this that Rabbi Akiva Eiger points out. Rabbi Akiva Eiger has, besides his chidushim and besides the tshuvas of Rabbi Akiva Eiger, there's a little commentary of Rabbi Akiva Eiger on the side of Mishnayos. And if you look there, there's a Mishnah we say every Friday night, if you daven Ashkenaz, in Bava Malikin. Right, in Bava Malikin we say, you have it in source number 9, Al shalosh aveiros nashim mesos b'shas leidasan. On 3 sins, women are, have to be very careful about. On 3 mitzvos, they have to be very careful about, saying the positive. Right, nida, chala, hadlakas haner. Right, nida, chala, b'mafresh chala, and hadlakas haner. Ask Rabbi Akiva Eiger. Once you see it, you're like, whoa, why didn't I think of that the first million times I said it, right? It's not parallel. Why doesn't it just say nida chalaner? And if you want to bring in the verb, hadlakas haner, so say hafrashas chala, and say prisas nida. Why does only the third one have a verb? Nida chala, hadlakas haner. Says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, it's hinting to us because the woman lights the candles, but we should set up the candles. That's dafka what the hint is. Nida chala hadlaka. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, put that in the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Eiger in source number 10. Hatana ratzal rames lamad isa betikune zohar. It's also a zohar. Shabal abayis yisaken asaneros v'ishto tadlik. The man should set up the candles. Misham hachi tani ba'adlakas haner lomar detikun lav alei rami. Right? He sets up the candles. she lights the candles. I remember my grandfather. He used to set up the candles, and he used to, you might have seen this by some of your ancestors, he used to light the candles mamish and then blow them out. You ever heard of such a minhag? To light the candles and blow them out. Where does that come from? In the olden days, candles lit better once they were lit once before. So if you lit them once and you put them out, then they're going to burn the next time very well. So that was part of setting up the candles. You light them and then because that's setting them up. Nowadays, they burn fine. If a woman sees a black wick, she'll take a different candle. She doesn't want you to light them beforehand. Because we don't have those kind of candles. It lights fine the first time. But in the day, I remember watching my grandfather do it. But and that was what they did in Europe, because that was the candles that they had. But again, either way, it's all part of the setting up. It's 11 is, that's where the Shmir Shabbos quotes that minhag, Shamati, the minhag of the chassan buying the candlesticks for the kala, right, to have a chelek in the mitzvah. Good. What happens? I had the shaila Friday. I just had the shaila Friday. There was a woman who was going to be away for Shabbos, and her husband was going to be home with the kids. Who lights? The older, over bat mitzvah daughter or the husband? Who lights? And you have the same kind of shaila you could ask, same kind of shaila. When the husband is away, who should make kiddush and do motzi? Is there an adifus halachically in terms of a 18-year-old son or the mother in terms of kiddush? Again, generally, it's the, what we say, getting back to the candles. That's a different case. Maybe we'll talk about that when we talk about Kiddush and women making Kiddush. Different topic. But what about here? So generally, the poskim talk about it, but the poskim say the man should light, the husband. The husband should light, because it's his mitzvah. He gives it to the wife. Obviously, it's the wife's mitzvah, if not, he's the balabais. And therefore, the mitzvah is on the house, and therefore, he should light. I usually light once or twice a year. My wife comes back. I'm in camp in the summer. My wife goes back a week early sometimes. So I'm there with the kids, so I light that Shabbos. Yeah, there's differences between a man and woman lighting, which we'll get to soon.
Should we tell her which reason is the Torah the over?
Okay, interesting. Correct. If it's Chava, it should go by the daughter. Right. Interesting. I never thought about that, but yeah, but either way, the minhag is that the balabais should light. You were going to say that? Very nice. Very nice. Got to put it into the notes. Maybe it's totally on the reasons. Okay. What's the earliest that one can light candles? What's the earliest? So let's turn the page. Says the Shulchan Aruch source. What if I'm really frum, and I really love Shabbos, and when I wake up Friday morning, I can't control myself, and I just want it to be Shabbos already? I mean, I just need it. It's the summer. Shabbos is at 8:30 at night, right? What was it? Who's here from England? Yeah, I was in London, Lag BaOmer Shabbos 2 years ago. Shabbos was like at 9:30. It was like unbelievable. It was like I don't want to wait that long. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, done. I'm starting Shabbos. Am I allowed to do that? The answer is no. You can't have Shabbos whenever you want. You could keep Shabbos going as late as you want on Motzi Shabbos. But what about on Fridays? As we know, the earliest time to light Shabbos candles is Plag HaMincha. Source 13, the in-between time between Mincha Ketana and well, that's a question. Either sunset or tzeis. We'll talk about that, but maybe next week after we do this, we'll have a shir on Zmani Hayom, how to figure all those things out. But it's the in-between time, so it's on the calendar. You open up a luach, Plag HaMincha. That is the earliest time that one could accept Shabbos. Anything before that is a bracha levatala, right? If we light Shabbos candles or Hanukkah candles for that matter, it's the earliest time you can light Hanukkah candles because it's the earliest time that we could consider and fathom to be called the next day, to be related to the next day. That is the halfway point between Mincha Ketana and the end of the day. Good. How does one light candles? This is crucial. How does one light candles? How do you do the mitzvah of hadlakas neros, which is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan of lighting Shabbos candles? It's a kiyum d'Oraisa. When we light Shabbos candles, is a fulfillment of Zachar Yom Shabbos Lekadsho. But how does one light? Says the Shulchan Aruch in source 14. Kishayal the Givarech. Baruch Adonai Hashem Elokeinu Ha'olam. Asher kadeshanu b'mitzvot v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbos. Echad ish v'echad isha. Man or woman make the same bracha for candles. Gam b'yantiv tzarach levarech. Also on Yantiv she lights, but she ends it off lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov. Ubiyom HaKippurim below Shabbos. That's a machlokas. Our minhag is to light candles on Erev Yom Kippur, but it's a machlokas. If it's just Yom Kippur, that is one of the 4 brachas that are only said once a year. In Israel, you have 7 brachas, only said once a year. But in Chutz La'aretz, there are 4 brachas you only say once a year. One of them is lahadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim. Right? Only said the other Yom Tovim lahadlik ner shel Yantif. But the Hadlak Yom Kippurim is a bracha that is only said once a year. Okay, that's the bracha. But how do you light? You know, if anybody, I haven't seen my wife light in a couple of years, usually in shul and whatever, but usually many women do something like this, do the wave, right? And then like cover up and like what's going on there? So this is not really quoted in the poskim. It must have some status and some special bringing in the Shabbos, whatever it is, but that's not quoted in the poskim, that idea. Covering up the eyes is quoted. What's the issue? What's the issue? So the Rama says, Haga, yesh mishomer, shemavarchen kodem hadlaka. Some people say she should make the bracha before she lights candles. Meaning what? There are those that say that, what's the rule always? You make a bracha before you do the mitzvah. Over lasiyasan. Before I shake a lulav, I make the bracha. Before I do any mitzvah, before I lay the Megillah, before I learn Torah, it's a bracha, a mitzvah. So do we here. A woman makes the bracha and then lights the candles. Says the Ramah, but others say you can't do that. Why? Because right when a woman says the words Lahadek Ner Shel Shabbos, it's Shabbos. So she can't light a candle now. So what do you do about the bracha? V'yesh bisha omer shemevarech achar adlaka. Some say there are 3 or 4 cases, not too many, where it's impossible to make the bracha beforehand. So you make the bracha afterwards, after the mitzvah. Ukadeshi over lasiyaso, but is there any way that you could get a little bit ki'ilu it's before? So the Ramah comes up with a chap. What is it? Lo yene mimena achal achar habracha. Umisimena yad lefnei haner achar adlaka mavarchin v'achar kach mesalken hayad. What happens? A woman lights the candles but doesn't look at the candles and covers her eyes quickly. It's as if she didn't light the candles yet. I don't see anything. She makes the bracha on the Ner Shel Shabbos. Most women say a tefillah for all different good things with their families. And then, get Shabbos, right? Open up. But she has to make sure to look at the candles before she turns around and says hello to everybody else. Right? Because it's the Lahal Ner Shel Shabbos. The point of covering the eyes is to then look at the candles, get some hana from the candles. But that's why the eyes are covered. Because of this idea to get a little bit of Or Lasiyasan. To get a little bit is Ki'ilu. It was done beforehand. So that is what the Ramah says. V'chein haminag. That is the minhag. There are 2 major issues that are discussed in this context by Adlakas Neiros. One of them was made famous by the Drisha. The Drisha and the Prisha. They're the 2 commentaries on the bottom of the tour. Also, the same author wrote the Sma on Choshen Mishpat. The same author. So he quotes a chiddush from his mother. It's very appropriate. He quotes a chiddush from his mother in the Hagdama of his Sefer on Yerodea, source number 15. He says, let me tell you something that I think people are making a big mistake out there. And there's a lot of discussion. This is known as the chiddush of the Ein Madrisha. This was quoted at Baruch Hashem. We're learning the Torah from the Ein Madrisha. Says the Ein Madrisha, source 15. I have 2 ha'aris on lighting candles. Number 1, Masha Noah goes lahadlik nira shel yontif k'moshel Shabbos. There are a lot of women out there that light yontif candles just like they do Shabbos candles. They do the wave, they do the eyes, they open up. The mother of the Risha says, what are you doing? You're allowed to light fire on yontif. So here you could just do regular. Just do regular over lasiyasan. Wouldn't that be better? Say the bracha, lahadlik ner shel yontif, and then light the candles. Straightforward. That's what the Ein Madrisha says. Yontif should be different. Hainu, some people do it the same. Hainu sheman likin tchila haneros. V'yachar b'zibin yadayim lefnei haneros. V'yachar masalkin yadayim, etc., etc. He quotes that from the Ramah. Line 6. Let's go to where it's underlined. Line 10. Haneinach b'adlakas haneros l'Shabbos. I understand this for adlakas haneros Shabbos. Sha'achar habracha aser shu ba'adlaka. Aval b'yantif, shemuter lahadlik neiros b'yantif atzmo. It's muter to light candles on yantif. Mutav shenase birchas neiros kitikuna. Fulfill the idea of over lasiyasan. There's a beautiful idea. Maybe at the end, if we have time, we'll mention it. If not, remind me in another context. The idea of a birchas ha-mitzvah. Why dafka it has to be before you do the mitzvah. What the message is. But either way, that's what we do. So fine on Shabbos, you can't do that. But on yantif, he says, ulahadlik neiros shel yantif. He says, I'll bring you a raya. I'll bring you a proof that you should switch it. Chanukah. You want to say, oh, just like candles all the same. What do you do by Chanukah? You make the bracha first. Lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, and then you light the candles. Says the Madrisha. You see, I'm right. Whenever you could light, make the bracha first and then light, that's what you should do. That's what the Madrisha says. Do we pass like the Madrisha? Should we do like the Madrisha? If you ask most women out there, they've never heard of the Madrisha. So is it something that we should talk about? Interesting, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't mention it. That's a great raya against the Madrisha. The Ramah does not mention anything in Hilchos Yantif to do anything differently. That's just point number one to hold. But the Magen Avraham quotes the Madrisha. Surah 16. Dim tavarach Kabbalah v'chulu v'im kein biyantif tavarach v'akach tadlik. Ka kasev b'sof sefer Adrisha b'Even Ezer b'shem imo. And he quotes Aval ein chachma leisha lo chilku chachamim. That is not an insult. He's just quoting a chazal, which means it's confusing. It's confusing. And if you ask women, it could imagine like you have a 2-day yantif, one of them is Shabbos, one of them is yantif. What am I doing today? You're going to take chances with like getting confused and then like making the bracha and then lighting and it's Shabbos? You want to mess around? Says the Magen Avraham, we don't mess around with the surei skila. You know what? So you lose out over Lasiyasan. Don't make any distinctions. Says the Magen Avraham. And look what he quotes. At the end of the Magen Avraham, he says, I'll bring you 2 proofs that I'm right. That we don't make any distinctions. K'moshe kasav b'simin kuf nun ches, ayin sham. What's simin kuf nun ches? You have it in Surah 17. Netilas Yadayim. That's another one. How do we wash our hands? Right? We should make, Netilas Yadayim is a mitzvah that we do, mitzvah d'Rabbanan, to be able to wash our hands before we eat bread. And it goes all the way back to eating truma. So what do we do when we wash our hands? What's the minhag of most in Klal Yisrael? We wash our hands and then we say the bracha. Okay, we say it before we dry our hands to get a little bit of over Lasiyasan. Why do we do that? Because you can't make the whole point. You can't make a bracha when your hands are tamei. So we do it afterwards. What if your hands are tahar? What if you know your hands are not dirty spiritually? You still make the bracha afterwards. Magen Avraham says, see, I'm right. You always make the bracha afterwards. Even if there could be a svara to say it beforehand, you make the bracha afterwards. One raya. Second raya, Magen Avraham says, look in Tosfos and Psachim. Zayin of a base. That's what they say. Okay, so you got to look up his sources to know what he's talking about. Tosfos and Psachim, Zayin of a base, source 18. Quotes another one. Tevila. When is the bracha said on Tevila? Nowadays, men never have an obligation to go to the mikveh. When do women say the bracha on Tevila? They say the bracha where the minhag is to say it, go dunk, say the bracha, and then dunk again. Try to do a little of both. But the bracha is not said before going in. Why? Because there's one situation that you for sure cannot say it before you go in. A convert. Can't make the bracha before you go into the mikveh. You're not yet Jewish. You're not Yechayev a mitzvah. So there, it's impossible to say the bracha of ala tefillah before you go in. So you know what? We always say the bracha afterwards. Says the Magen Avraham, you see by ala tefillah, you see by netilas yadayim, even if sometimes you can make the bracha beforehand, don't make any distinction, say it afterwards. So too here. A woman should always light the candles the same way. Light the candles, say the bracha, cover the eyes. That is the shita of the Magen Avraham. We're not done yet. That's on.
The chapter does say that if your hands are clean, then you make the bracha beforehand.
Okay, but that's not the minhag olam. Not the minhag olam. So what should you do? What should you do? But even before, is there any way to be machalik between to defend the aim hadrisha from the Magen Avraham? The Magen Avraham says, hey, you see it by netilas yadayim, you just do it afterwards. And you see it by tefillah, you just do it afterwards. What's the difference between that and what was the riot that the mother of the Drisha brought? What riot did she bring that you should switch it? Should do it differently? Chanukah, lahatik neshel Chanukah. What's the difference between those cases? How can you defend? Says Rabbi Kiva Eger, I'm sorry, not Rabbi Kiva Eger, says the Nod Yehuda in the Dagam Mervava, where the Dagam Mervava is the Nod Yehuda's commentary on the side of the Shulchan Aruch. What was the Nod Yehuda's name? Rabbi Yecheskel Landau. He wrote the Nod Yehuda as a tribute to his father. His father's name was Yehuda. He wrote his other famous sefer, the Tzlach Tziyun Lenefesh Chaya. A very famous person. Both of his farm don't have his name in it. Right? It has his mother's name and his father's name. But he also wrote the Dagam Mervava on the side of the Shulchan Aruch. He says there's a big difference between Netilas Yadayim and Tefillah versus Chanukah. What's the difference? But Netilas Yadayim and Tefillah, it's the same bracha. Al Netilas Yadayim. Al Tefillah, that's where there could be confusion. It's the same bracha. That's why we don't move it. Just do it afterwards. But here it's a different bracha. Well, having their Shal Chanukah, you know why you do that beforehand? Because it's a different bracha. You say the bracha, then you do it. That's why you can do it beforehand. So you should do Yantif beforehand too. The Doga Meravave is a fan of the Ei Madrisha. Machloket Zaposkim, what do we do? You know what we do? Whatever the woman wants. And it depends. You can speak to your wife about this, B'ez Hashem, in a couple of years. She could say, you know what, it's too confusing. I'm just going to do it this way. Fine. It's her mitzvah. If she's a mulumedes and she's able to think a little bit beforehand, a lot of times there's a lot of pressure going on right before Shabbos and Yantif. You know, you don't want to, whatever she wants. That's the answer. Whatever she wants. It's a machlokas haposkim. We understand the svaras for both, but this is one issue that is brought up regarding candles and the order. But there's another one, and I remember years ago when I first read this, I was in shock. And that is Rabbi Yaakov Emden in the She'elas Yavetz, source number 21. Rabbi Yaakov Emden is against the minhag of women making a shechianu when they light candles on Yantif. What's the problem? Why are you against taking a shechianu? So I was in shock in that it's not quoted in the Shulchan Aruch anywhere. Nowhere in the Shulchan Aruch does it say a shechianu when a woman lights candles. Shechianu was only quoted when? Where's shechianu quoted? Hilchas Kiddush on Yantif. That's when you say a shechianu. Lahalik ner shel Shabbos and Yantif, it does not quote anything about shechianu. Yaakov Emden says, you know why? It's not Yantif yet. What are you saying shechianu for? Which gets into Tosefah Shabbos, Yantif. Is it really? That'll be a shiur in 2 topics from now. It's on the sheet, right? So but says Rabbi Yaakov Emden, I think that a woman should not say shechianu. It's not really Yantif yet. She should be yotzei the shechianu with her husband at Kiddush. That's what he says. The yafa kivin la'arer al minag anashim hamevarcha shechianu alakas ner Yantif. It's good that you're being ma'arer. You're complaining about this. For tainos of gedolos b'achar shalom niskar b'shem posek. It's not quoted in any posek. It's just like we don't make a shechianu when we build a sukkah. We reject that opinion. So do we here. It's too early, says Rabbi Yaakov Emden, and therefore you shouldn't do it. This is fascinating. Line 4. I told my wife she didn't do it. She told me, tough, I'm doing it anyway. I couldn't even get my wife to not do it. So I said, why throw my hands? If my wife is not going to listen to me, I guess nobody else is going to listen to me either. So I left them in, I guess it is. Amazing. The power of Rabbi Yaakov Emden's wife. Or at least he says he wanted to, but he couldn't force her. And I says, okay, let her do it. The Mishnah Berurah quotes this Rabbi Yaakov Emden. Just quotes it without commenting on it. You read this Rabbi Yaakov Emden, you read the Mishnah Berurah like, okay, what should a good Jew do? Okay, don't make shechianu. But kimat all the other poskim say chas v'shalom. This is the women's mitzvah. It's so precious to them. This is their. You're going to take away the shechianu from them? Says the Tzitz Eliezer, Rav Waldenberg. He says, if there was a problem with this, somebody over the past 600 years would have said something about it. Women have been doing this for hundreds of years, for sure. It wasn't like a newfangled minhag of 100 years ago. Obviously, women have been doing this for thousands of years, hundreds of years. And nobody has said, boo. Why? Because this is their Kabbalas Yantif. And that is why the Tzitz Eliezer says exactly the opposite. Tell them it's amazing and it's your mitzvah. Chazak chizki v'imsi. And therefore, even though, yeah, okay, we understand the svara, but that is not what we paskin, right? Women should make that. She should make the shechianu. That is the minhag of Klal Yisrael. That's what her mother did. That's what her grandmother did, and that is what should be done. Okay, moving right along. Let's see a few more minutes, and then we'll see where we continue the next time. Next siman in Shulchan Aruch, Sif Ches 26. This comes up. Anybody Ever been in a hotel for a Shabbos? Where you have about 4,000 candles in the same place? Or in a camp? Anything questionable about that? Machlokas Mechaber and the Ramah. Shulchan Aruch 26. Beis o gimel bali batim ochlim b'makom echad. 2 or 3 families. They didn't even know about like 50 families, 300 families eating in one place. Shekol echad mevarech al menorah shelo, where everybody's making yesh omrim. Shekol echad mevarech al menorah shelo. Some say, okay, everybody make their own bracha. V'yesh begam geim b'davar, and some are not so happy about that. Why wouldn't you be happy about it? What's the problem? If the whole point of Shabbos candles is to add, or is this really adding anything? You have 15 tea lights next to it. What is this doing? So maybe it's not such a good idea. V'nachon lizar b'savik brachas. The Shulchan Aruch says, savik brachas lahakel, don't make a bracha. So I don't know if Sfardim go to a hotel or a camp. I don't know if that's the minhag. The Ramah quotes, ain't on okay. No, we make the bracha. We make the bracha, even if it is a problem. Even if there are other lights there. Why? What's the heter? If the whole purpose of Shabbos candles is to add light and it's not adding light, then how do you make the bracha? I'll ask you a better question. The poskim all discuss. The Shmir Shabbos in source 28. We have electric lights in our houses. The candles are adding light at all? Forget camp, every Shabbos. My wife lights candles, there's plenty of light in the room. How does a woman light Shabbos candles ever with a bracha? Isn't the whole purpose of the mitzvah not being fulfilled because there's already light? 3 ideas. Number 1, the Shmir Shabbos quotes, great idea. Turn off the light before she lights Shabbos candles. Then she lights Shabbos candles, so it's adding light at that moment, and then somebody else could turn on the lights on after she lights Shabbos candles. That's one suggestion given in the Shmir Shabbos in source 28. Other poskim don't like that. Because right when you turn on the light, it's just like you're putting out the candle. Like, how does that help? What, it's good, it adds light for 15 seconds? What's the other suggestion that's more common maybe? I don't think either of them are too common. No, the woman should turn off the light and then turn the light back on. And have kavanah, that's part of her lighting candles, and then go light the candles. As we'll talk about later, probably next time, Be'ez Hashem, we paskin electric candles. If you to the mitzvah, you can make a bracha on electric candles, according to most poskim. So that's what she should do. It should be part of her lighting. Second option, both mentioned in the Shmir Shabbos. I don't think anybody have in their house, their mother, do this, either of these. It is not such a common practice. So how is it that women light candles, normally regular, with the light on and nothing? And how do we do light candles in the hotel, in the camp? Rav Shlomo Zalman. Rav Shlomo Zalman in the clutch. Rav Shlomo Zalman in source 29 says, yes, originally Shabbos candles were about adding light. But today they have another additional element. And it's even a more defining element. It creates an ambiance. It creates an atmosphere. You go into a fancy restaurant, there are candles on the table. Why do you have candles here? Just turn the lights on. No. When there are candles, there's an ambiance. Somebody walks into the house, you know it's Shabbos by seeing the candles. And that's true even with the lights on. And that's enough to make the bracha. And that is the heter, that's the defense for Klal Yisrael. Right? Even though he says in 29 and also at the end, even though Be'ikaron it was originally enacted to add R, nowadays this is the purpose of the Shabbos candles, and that is what is done. Good. The Shulchan Aruch says in source number 30, Siftes, if somebody lights, where's the Iker place to light? What if I'm sleeping at home and eating it by somebody else? What if I'm eating at home, but I'm going to light it in a different place? Sometimes in a hotel, they have the candles like somewhere else, not anywhere near you eating. The Iker place to light, the Shulchan Aruch says, is where you eat. It should give simcha and ambiance to the su'uda. If it's impossible, if you're in a hotel and they set it up, if you could get it close. But if not, you should at least stand near the candle to get some benefit from it. If somebody's sleeping in their house and eating somewhere else, So that other place is not really miyuchad for you. So it's probably better, if possible, to light candles at home first, enjoy them for a few minutes, and then go. Or, enjoy them when you come back. But there's an ikr element of enjoying the candles. And that's why having them where you eat is a crucial element, and that is what the Shulchan Aruch says. You don't have to have them on the table. A lot of times it's more difficult because you can't clear the table, you can't move them. It's muksa machmas isser. Another topic that we'll talk about one day. Good. What? If you put something else on the tray, then you create. Okay, you can have them on the table. There's nothing wrong with having them on the table if you're not going to get into any muksa issues. But you don't have to. Just in the room. In the room. We'll talk about by Kiddush. There's a minhag of looking at the candles right before you make Kiddush. So it's an idea of having them also. Okay, one final point. Let's just try to squeeze it in. The Shulchan Aruch discusses, source 33. Are you allowed to make a t'nai, a condition that you don't accept Shabbos when you light the candles? Let's say a woman wants to drive to the other side of town on Friday night. So she wants to light candles to get into a car. So is there an except? Usually you can make a t'nai on anything. So, machlokes rishonim. The shita of the Bahag. The Shulchan Aruch here, interestingly, quotes both opinions. Source 33. The Bahag says, the Baal Halachas Gedolos, one of the Gaonim, Rabbi Yehuda Gaon, says, Shabbos candles is an automatic Kabbalah. You light Shabbos candles at Shabbos. You cannot make a t'nai. It's automatic. And others say no, you can make a t'nai. Different opinions. There's some that argue that say it's not even an automatic Kabbalah. But even if you say it's automatic, there's a machlokas, can you make it t'nai or not? L'maisa, what do we hold? Step one, we paskin, the Shulchan Aruch paskins. For women, it's an automatic Kabbalah. For men, it's not. And therefore, if a man ever has to light candles, you make the bracha and then you light. Because a man's going to go daven mincha. Women should daven mincha too, but maybe women could daven earlier. But the halacha, the minhag is that the accepted custom is that women go by the bahag, automatic, and that's why if a woman lights candles, she'll ask somebody else to turn off the oven or whatever. But a man, that's not the bahag. The man does not accept with his lighting, and therefore a man should make the bracha and then light. Can a woman ever make a t'nai? So the poskim say once a year, meaning it should not be a generally done thing every week. Once in a blue moon, like sometimes kol nidre. Right, a woman wants to go to Kol Nidre once a year. She wants to drive to the kotel. She's in a hotel, in an apartment. They want to go take a taxi to the kotel before Shabbos, and then walk back. So if it's once in a blue moon, then it's okay. She says, verbalize explicitly, I am not accepting Shabbos with this lighting. But it should not be something that happens more often. Good. Just two final issues, just to mention quickly, so we don't have to. Next week I'm in America, so I'm not going to be here next week. It's the K-Boy dinner. So just two quick points. Number one, electric lights. The poskim say, except for Rav Avadia in 35, who is not into it, but generally the other poskim say that one could use electric lights and make a bracha in a hospital. You get an electric light to plug in. You can make a bracha on that, according to most poskim. Rabbi Mordechai Willig even says, even on a fluorescent light. It's not a din of fire, it's a din of or. Havdalah is a din of fire. You need Aish. But Friday night is a din of or, so anything that would create or. Number one. And number two is what happens if a woman missed Shkia. So on the back page, the Shulchan Aruch discusses about asking a non-Jew to light candles. So that's mutter. During Ben Hashmashos, during twilight, we paskin that you could ask a non-Jew to do malacha. There's even a Magen Avraham, this is huge lumdus, but not for now. A woman can make a bracha on a non-Jew's lighting candles, which shows it's all about the result of having them lit and not the act of lighting. I don't think we'd go that far in terms of Lamaisa. There's a great raya that he brings, we don't have time. But either way, you have the sources here. This is all Hadlakas, Neiros, Shabbos. So again, next week there's not going to be a shir, I won't be here. But in 2 weeks we'll continue either with Zmane Hayom or Tosefah Shabbos, one of the two. But either way, you have the sheet in front of you. We'll be going down the sheet throughout the year, except before the Chagim, we'll be doing probably, I don't know, maybe some Chag, unless I do that Thursday night. We'll see. Anyway, everybody should have a good week. We'll see you on Thursday.